Good morning, everybody, and a happy Thursday morning to you. Stuff never ends. There's a lot in here. You know what? Let's just jump in and get busy because there's so much. Let's go. We're going to start off with Princess Anne. I told you the other day that she was in Sheffield at a plant called Henderson's. Well, some pictures came out when she was taking a tour of the facility, and she also got to try some meat and potato pie. And let's not forget the sausage rolls. Now, moving on, but sticking with Anne. I don't know if I reported this already, so I'm going to do it again just in case. Princess Anne has extended her patronage of, I believe it's pronounced Lucci. It's a Scottish charity that provides respite care for people with neurological conditions. She has been a supporter for over a decade, and she launched the Lucci Forever Fund in 2013, which is a fundraising initiative for the charity, and she became its patron. All right, next up we have Highgrove. You can go there and experience an autumn walk through their gardens. It's 75 minutes long. It's a guided tour. You get to look at the trees and you get to talk to one of their guides and learn about all the roles the different trees play in biodiversity and how they interact with each other. Now, it's not bad. It's $69, and that's the price, and that includes either a sweet or savory scone served with tea or coffee in the Orchard Room restaurant. The dates available are on September 30th and the 1st through the 3rd, the 7th through the 10th, and the 14th through the 17th of October. And of course, before you leave, you're going to go browse the Highgrove shop at the Coronation Pavilion. They have a selection of products, including special edition artworks. They also have food, alcohol, homeware, and accessories, as well as some other unique pieces exclusively designed for Highgrove. Now, just to make sure you guys know, the King left Sandringham on Sunday right after church. The royal plane took off and he is now in Scotland for the summer break. The rest of the family is going to be joining him there during the summer holidays. So that means that royal news is going to be a little scarce. Next up, I told you guys already how Spain behaved so horribly. Well, Lioness got back to London and they had a victory parade. They were joined by crowds of thousands of people. I'm about to show you a little video that was put up by the royal family just to show you the celebration that was going on. The fireworks, the things they were shooting out. I mean, it was just crazy. The crowds were going absolutely crazy. The buses that were carrying the squad came down the street, led by the band of His Majesty's Royal Marines Portsmouth, which I think is really cool. They were flanked on either side by cheering fans that were waving flags, and also manager Serena Weigman was dancing alongside Burna Boy on stage before the trophy got lifted up into the air. Now, here's what was spotted in the crowd. Princess Beatrice and her daughter Athena, her fabulous husband Edo, Sienna, the 3-year-old, was seen there in the front waving her flag, and her fabulous stepson Wolfie was also there. I'm happy to see them out and about enjoying themselves, no fuss, no muss, and a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing. Let's move on. All right, I don't know what to make of this, but I'm putting it in here. Princess Diana's brother decided it would be a good idea to share a throwback photo on what would have been the 44th wedding anniversary of Diana and Charles. He puts up this picture and he writes, quote, "A long summer ago by the swimming pool at our childhood home, Park House, Sandringham, Diana and I both proudly showing off our swimming badges sewn onto our swimming costumes." And then in the black and white picture, they pose in front of the pool. Diana, of course, was wearing the swimming cap. And then he wrote, "Those badges were awarded sparingly by Mrs. Lansdowne, a fairly terrifying but very gifted swimming instructor who came to stay each year. We were never out of that pool." People looked at the picture and compared the two of them to George and Charlotte. And the only other thing I want to say is I understand that was his sister and he misses his sister and he loves his sister, but I feel like he's constantly dining out on Diana's memory, like his nephew. All right, let's move on. Let's move on now to another smear article that's come out saying that Anne is annoyed with William's approach to royal duties because she's no nonsense and she just feels like William is once again in the spotlight and he's not doing what he should be doing. After all, he lives at Windsor Castle, so it should be easier for him to do the investitures. I don't know why they're continuing with these smear campaigns. Okay, moving on. All right, I have to report on this. This is not political. It has to do because they're talking about Meghan Markle. Apparently, Donald Trump voiced a lot of praise from members of the royal family, including King Charles. He was at a press conference in the UK, and we know how much he dislikes Meghan. So he's lavishing praise on the royal family members. And then he took a swipe at saying, quote, not great people outside of the UK. We all know he was talking about Meghan Markle. He said, being with Charles, Camilla, and everybody I've gotten to know because of 4 years in president and now 6 months, I've gotten to know a lot of family members. They're really great people, really, really great. And in that sense, I think the UK is very lucky. You could have people that aren't great people. I don't know if I can say that, but you could have people that weren't. Yeah, I think he absolutely was throwing shade. Moving on. All right, next up, I had to touch on this. Even though Harry went to Angola and was walking through the minefields where his mother worked, and he gave this whole talk about his mother, and it was Diana, 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 apparently Harry, it's saying, is very upset that Meghan released their rosé on what was Diana's birthday. He apparently, allegedly said to her, please, not on Mommy's birthday. It wasn't about business, it was about respect. But it's being reported that Markle did not budge, and Harry is devastated because that day means everything to him, and she turned it into a PR push. All right, now this story is one of the bigger ones from today. Remember this guy, Paul Burrell? Diana called him her rock. And he's known to a lot of people because there was a high-profile trial where he was cleared after being accused of stealing and selling items belonging to Princess Diana's estate, as well as for appearing as a contestant on a show called I'm Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. He became Princess Diana's butler and stayed in that role until she died, and she was a close confidant, but the family's perception of him soured shortly after she passed away. William and Harry accused him of cold and an overt betrayal because he published a memoir called A Royal Duty, which contained a raft of private revelations. So now he is going to release another book. He said it's an intimate memoir, and he is now revealing stories he felt he couldn't share while the Queen was still alive. So the book is called The Royal Insider, and it has a picture of himself and Diana on the cover, and it's coming out in September. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. He says he's going to speak candidly about the tensions that simmered during his time at the palace, including the breakdown of Charles and Diana's marriage and his own relationship with William and Harry. We know that there have been problems. If you look at the cover of this from the Daily Mail in October of 2003, this shows that there were issues between the brothers and Mr. Burrell. When Harry wrote The Spare, he described how he heard about Mr. Burrell's book about Diana when he was working as an unpaid farmhand in Australia at the age of 19. He said he got a package from Buckingham Palace, which was full of memos from the palace communication team about a delicate matter. I will say I do think, like Diana's brother, this guy is milking Diana's memory for all it's worth. In The Spare, Harry never called him by his name. He called him Mummy's butler. And he talks about how this man made his blood boil. Mummy's former butler penned a tell-all which actually told nothing. It was merely one man's self-justifying, self-centering version of events. And my mother once called this man a dear friend and trusted him implicitly. We did too. Now this. Okay, well, there you go. But he's also said, Mr. Burrell has said, I know from firsthand experience how difficult Harry can be. Ooh, this is going to be good. Now, a total change of subject. Thank you to Royal News Network for coming up with this. Apparently, this is an email that went out. And, Meghan's like, oh, enjoy the summer with your crisp wine. But on the top of this, if you notice, she said it was a 10 out of 10. It won blind taste tests. That's what she said. I myself would like to know who did the blind taste test. She never tells you that information. But let me tell you what. One magazine did do a blind taste test. Let me show you the results. Here, the Daily Mail. Remember they said that Meghan's wine was unimpressed. It was ordinary and everything else about it. It was overpriced. Well, they decided to be fair and they decided to test and compare it to 7 other A-listers who have released their own wine. Meghan's did not reach the top spot, believe it or not. The number 1 spot, Cameron Diaz, and her wine was selling at 18 pounds a bottle. Number 2, Bon Jovi, 19 pounds a bottle. Number 3, Brad Pitt, 19 pounds a bottle. Number 4, Meghan Markle, 22 pounds a bottle. Number 5, Kylie Minogue, not sure who that is, 15 pounds a bottle. Number 6, Snoop Dogg, 11 pounds a bottle. Number 7 was Bethany Frankel at 17 pounds a bottle. And number 8 at the bottom, John Legend. His was 19 pounds a bottle. So with that, I want to say the original review was correct. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's ordinary, right in the middle, and overpriced. All right, let's move on. All right, I have to touch on this story. It would seem that Jessica Mulroney has been markled. Remember, anything Meghan touches goes to hell. So Jessica Mulroney, her marriage to Ben is coming to an end after 16 years of marriage. They're saying they've had a very hard few years since this whole thing happened with racism scandal, that took place online, and then Meghan Markle stopped talking to her, and now she has been left, quote, toxic on the Toronto social scene. She's no longer wearing her wedding rings, and she broke the news of the split to friends when she went to a wedding in Toronto last month. Remember, she was such good friends with Meghan Markle that her daughter was a bridesmaid at the wedding and her twin sons were page boys. And then things went downhill after Canadian influencer Sasha Exeter accused Jessica of racism back in 2020. When Jessica issued what was supposed to be a public apology, she talked about Meghan Markle. I have a very public and personal experience with my closest friend where race was front and center and it was educational and I learned from that, blah, blah, blah. But after that, Jessica's friendship with Meghan waned and they stopped speaking to each other. At the same time, she lost her job as a stylist on Good Morning America. Her show I Do Redo was axed by Canadian CTV, and she had a bunch of roles with charities and she had to step down. Can you imagine the stress she was under? She felt all this shame, and then her best friend isn't talking to her anymore. Her mother had to come over and care for her. She had to go on antidepressants. Her husband quit his job as a TV presenter to help his wife. He said he would wake up and she wouldn't be in the bed, and he'd be like, oh my God, where'd she go? That is when you need your good friends. That is when you need support. And that is when Meghan Markle abandoned her. All right, this next article I think is really important. They're talking about how the Sussexes wanted to be examples of service, but people are asking, what have they actually done for anybody? Meghan's been accused of being a bully. She doesn't have anything but self-love, which they're saying was very evident in her With Love Meghan show. Then, you've got that 40 by 40 mentoring scheme that she tried to do that she took from Nelson Mandela, and it flopped and it was shelved. Archwell, since it's been founded in 2020, raised $5.3 million in grants in 2023 because they got one $5 million donation, and it gave out $1.3 million to charities, but the rest of the money is missing. Harry has lost Sentabale. He's on the board of African Parks, but of course that's turned into a mess. It's being said that the Sussexes are weaponizing the Invictus Games because Obviously, Harry and Meghan will be there. And even knowing that King Charles is battling cancer and he's in his late 70s, they don't know if he's going to be able to make it there. They're withholding the children from seeing their grandfather on both sides. They're talking about Harry getting the Living Legend of Aviation Award, which was embarrassing, and then getting the Pat Tillman Award with over 76,000 people, including Pat Tillman's mother, signing a petition saying he shouldn't get it. The truth is, if Harry and Meghan were truly altruistic, they wouldn't have left the royal family. All right, let's move on to our last story. All right, on the Archwell Foundation website, Harry and Meghan apparently have shared a new message about AI technology. They want to keep children safe online. And so this statement is talking about the Archwell Foundation supporting Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund grantees who have helped influence the recent Senate vote to remove a 10-year AI moratorium. This moratorium would have stripped states from having authority to act on AI, for example, by removing protections for child safety and deepfake regulation. Now, I'm so sick of hearing how Harry and Meghan feel passionately about social media and technology when the Sussex Squad is some of the worst people online. Oh my goodness. All right, you guys, you know what I want. Put those comments down. Make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wishlist, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.